I think that idea that we are all connected is one idea. The other idea is who is listening to the young people. Isn't it important to hear what the young people are saying, be they in Ireland or Israel Palestine or anywhere else in the world? And school should give us that chance to do that. Is there a message that you would like to think about?
All young people have a voice, and those voices should be heard all around the world and should be taught to young people so we know more about it.
Should we be doing this in school? Is this too dark, too hard for school?
If you don't learn about it in school, when are you going to learn about it? You know, you hear about it on the news all the time, so you should learn a bit more about it rather than just reading about it in the papers.
It is important to get it from the young people and not just hear it on the news.
I actually don't know what to expect at all. Like getting there and seeing soldiers and stuff like that, I don't know what it's going to be like. So I don't really have expectations, if that makes sense. I'd want to learn a bit more about the West Bank, to be honest, and you know what actually goes on there, and you know the security and stuff like that, and then also their schools, you know how they get on and what kind of classes, whether it's the same as us or you know whether their school life is just the same as ours.
I just wanted to say how important I think this project is, because without education you won't find a solution to something, and even if it's difficult, we just have to keep hoping that eventually a solution will be found.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the trip. I mean, it's been a while since I actually applied for it, so I've kind of gotten engaged in it. But as for what I'm expecting from it, we've been given, our teachers and everyone we've talked to have given us a pretty good idea on what was to expect. But then again, there's also, you just got to see it for yourself.
Je suis vraiment très excité du voyage. I'm very excited because I don't realize yet I'm going over there. Like in about half a day I'll be in Jerusalem, and my teachers told me a lot of stuff about it. I'm kind of first confused of what I should expect of a city, but I want to discover for myself what is it in reality.
You are the players, the actors in this project. We are the messengers. We carry your work. We have a job to do, and we will bring your feedback, because we are not here to give messages and not know the names and not know the feelings and the opinions of the young people that you are trying to connect with. It has to be two ways.
A ver, que el conflicto, pues eso, que es una cosa un poco injusta tal, pero que tenéis que saber que afecta a mucha más gente de la que pensáis, y que este conflicto ya se ha dado antes, así que ya se acabará resolviendo y que no os preocupéis.
Well, I've been learning about the realities of the conflict, like the wall, the settlements, and the military presence that requires. And I think it would be very interesting for me to be put in a sort of a situation which is much different than I'd be used to in Europe, with like virtually no military presence. So I think that would be interesting to see for me. And as well, I'm very excited to go, because it's a whole nother culture, a whole nother place with a very vibrant, interesting history.
I hope you feel that you are doing something that's not just a little project for school and stuff. It's bigger than that, and you've said that in your message, you know. And school is not something that's closed. It's not in a bubble. The whole idea of schools across borders is that our windows and our doors are open to the outside world. To get a real flavour of Jerusalem, the Jewish side, you have to go to Mahana Yehuda markets, okay? And this is the time to go, because it's just before Shabbat, Sabbath. Baklava. Follow baklava.
Shabbat shalom.
So that's the horn for Sabbath. After this point, you shouldn't drive. If you see somebody driving while now, but they're trying desperately to get home, if they're religious. If they're not, they don't really observe that. The Dome of the Rock, built in 691. Okay, so very old. Al-Aqsa Mosque over there, and the Western Wall. In the distance, the Mount of Olives, and you can see the wall there, like still the inner wall of this old city. Beyond that, there's an area called Silwan, which is the original city of David. That area, as you can see now, is pretty crammed in. That's a Palestinian neighborhood. Okay, and there again you have Jewish settlers who are taking certain houses in that area.
When we first entered, it was actually quite intimidating because we saw all the people just praying, but yeah, it was really spiritual for me, and yeah, it was quite like a surprise for me to see all those people devoted to religion, like committed to religion so much.
It was an amazing experience to see and to touch that famous wall, and like it was really impressive to see all these women pray, and they were very in the thing to pray, and yeah, it was kind of emotional to see all this. It was a quite big wall, and yeah, it was good to see all the women pray with their Torah like that, and it's a good experience.
It's just magnificent. It's really, really impressive up close, and like the detail on the wall is just amazing, and just really unfortunate the Palestinians can't go there. It's it's really sad.
It's very quiet up here. It's very peaceful, and everywhere else you have the whole conflict, which is kind of very contrasting. And the second thing I'd like to say is, I'm here. I'm not a Muslim, and I find kind of ridiculous that the people who this place really matters to can't come up here.
You've been to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? One of the most, probably the holiest site for Christians in the old city of Jerusalem. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's really special to be somewhere where it all really started. That the whole Christian religion really stems from that place, and so it was really special to have been there. At the same time, it's kind of sad the way they're all split into so many different groups, and just to hear stories of them actually fighting it out.
I do think the most important thing for me was just walking in, and it was just the passion that a lot of the other people had. The passion was overwhelming, just everybody's wish to be there, and people took it very seriously, even all of our students here. There was a sense of once you walked in through it, I mean, when we were outside we were sort of saying, oh yeah, we didn't know what to expect. But I felt once some people walked in, there was a sense of significance maybe, or sense of respect too, I think, for all the differences that were displayed within the church.
W imię Ojca, Syna i Ducha Świętego. Amen.
So this is where Jesus was imprisoned. This little stone cell that's carved underground. Okay, and as you can see in the mosaic, he was sitting with his legs in these two holes and his legs chained. Jesus was sitting right there.
We can see the city of Jerusalem, and it's amazing. Just, I can see every single house and every single temple and church.
So we're on the other side of the Mount of Olives, and the wall has literally chopped off those people there, because their houses now are located in the West Bank. They're outside the walls of Jerusalem, the municipal boundary of Jerusalem. This wall is illegal under international law. It was decided in the International Court in The Hague in 2004, but Israel does not recognize this court. So the Israeli view is that this wall is necessary for security reasons to stop suicide bombers.
At first sight, it looks massive, and I think it's so sad thinking that those houses over there used to be in Jerusalem, and now they're in the West Bank.
The purpose of this discussion is to get to know you. We're not here to make judgments. We are meeting you, we're meeting the Leada students later and tomorrow morning. We're meeting the Palestinian students on Wednesday and Thursday. And it's important that we listen to both sides in a conflict, and knowing that within both sides there are different opinions and views and feelings. So Israeli-Palestinian conflict is very much on our news. Okay, we hear that President Obama is coming here next month. You get a lot of attention. And we always ask the question, who is listening to the young people?
Do you think that building of the West Bank, the wall, do you think that was a fair, unreasonable way to deal with the issue?
Right, the separation wall.
Yeah. I'm sorry, yeah.
The fact remains that there's much less tourist attacks since the wall was built. But
So, do you think that justifies it being built?
well, I think the wall was justified being built. I think it would be need to tear down because it doesn't go on the actual border between the two states. I think when the wall was built, Israel tried to take a bit too much.
What do you actually see happening in the future? Do you think there will be an agreement? And if so...
I hope so.
I don't really think it's going to happen.
You don't?
I see no alternative to an agreement. I think it must happen in order for this for both countries to exist and for both societies to advance forward. I think there must be an agreement.
We weren't born to hate each other, but I believe they're in a very difficult position. You can't ignore it that they have more difficult life than we have. I have a very comfortable life. I have a normal school. I live in a normal house. And I don't have soldiers, observing me searching me in every step I do. Well, I wish, this conflict would have been solved already, but it doesn't happen. I think we've learned to live with it. I believe that I'm always going to live under this conflict. I don't believe it will ever be solved.
I don't feel like we can be equals at all because I'm coming from here above them and I have so much more power than them. And then I don't think that when you start like that, you can become a real friend of someone when you come from such a different position.
Many people say one country for both, Israelis and Arabs, and I don't believe it can happen. I don't want it to happen, actually. And I'm not a radical and I don't hate Arabs, but I want to live in my country with, and it's not going to. Yeah, we grew on the same culture and language, and Irish people live in Ireland, French people live in France, and I want to have my own country, and I don't believe they don't deserve a country. And I do believe that in this situation, they need to have the terms to have a normal life, which they don't really have. Some of them have, but not most of them. But I do believe, you need to separate it, Israel and Palestine, not in the way it exists now.
I don't think now we really feel the conflict, but a couple of years ago we did, when we were young, they were younger, and we couldn't ride buses and stuff like that. Yeah, they were bombing on buses, but that was a long time ago, but now it's quiet, so it's fine walking around.
There's always tension between Arabs and Israelis because you never know what they think about you. We have opinions about them when we don't know them actually, but I don't think it's the best thing in the world because we don't actually know them and they don't actually know us, but we still have bad opinions about them.
Like a month ago or more, we did a military action, and the Arab in Gaza responded, and they sent a lot of bombs on us, and we need to go to a shelter and stuff. And it was a scary time, not for us because we are far away from Gaza, but for other cities it was really dangerous, and few people really died. And it's a time when the Arabs sent a lot of bombs on us, and we're really afraid, right?
Yeah. Anything that your students would like to share with the others that you think is important, that you told them this from that group?
It's important to say that the conflict is complicated, and there is no black and white answer for this question.
The Jews are not one unit because we have disagreements inside ourselves about the conflict, so it's individuals.
What did you talk about, the subject?
We talked about the Israeli settlements and basically how they perceived them, their position in Israel. Then Norbert started talking about the conflict resolution, so options on how to resolve the conflict, and we explored those different options and got everyone's opinion on them. And in the end, we
talked about the differences in Israeli society.
Yeah, concentrated on the Orthodox community, for example.
I was actually surprised because, you walk in and it's just like any other school. It's like any other, it could have been in Dublin, and even when you sat down to talk to them then, all of them had different opinions. It wasn't like all the Jewish people were on the same page, and, obviously that's in my head, and all the Muslims were on the same page. They literally, one girl said that one of her parents was right wing and the other one was left wing, and she was in the middle. And, so obviously they don't have the same views as their parents, and they don't have the same view. as each other.
In general, I think they're very open-minded, but there's not a lot of hope out there. They feel like we asked them at the very end, do they see this conflict ending? And they said that it could be that it could be resolved, but that they feel that it won't be.
When I was talking to the group about the Israeli settlements, so I asked them what do they think about this, if for them it's illegal or not, and some of them told me, yeah, it's illegal, we don't like this because we said that the West Bank is for the Palestinians and the rest of the Israel is for the Israelis, so that's unfair for them, and we shouldn't be on this land, on these territories, because that's not our territories. And some of them told me, yeah, Israel is all for the Israelis, so if we want to put some houses or settlements there, it's our right.
We're now at the corner of King George Street and Jaffa Street, and a lot of the suicide bomb attacks happened in this area, mainly on buses but also in cafes. So this was one of the spots. It was a pizzeria at the time, and there was a suicide bomb attack there. I think it's important that we take this on board in the project, that we remember the victims on both sides. And we have two Israeli students with us. We've already discussed this, so you had your own particular reflection on that.
Each day you would hear the broadcasts. Today there was a suicide bombing in a bus, 30 killed, injured. Like, it was rather terrifying. People wouldn't allow their children to go on buses. So people simply live on, and they remember their lost ones, and they keep moving on. They can't be stuck on the same place, in the same place forever.
Settlers they live like half an hour from Jerusalem, and they can come whenever they want, and the Palestinians have to go 4 hours in a barrier.
Should the settlements be dismantled?
Not all of them. I mean, you can't evacuate. How many people are there?
500,000.
There's like 350, right? 350,000. You can't evacuate. And I mean, it's kind of not practical, because where would you move them all?
My opinion is very I can't really agree with it, even with myself on this. There is security that comes from the wall, but it is built in such a way that in some places in the wall it violates private property of the Palestinians, and it violates their way to work or stuff. The Palestinians that don't do terror attacks, and there is a problem with it, but it's really hard decision making. What's more important, like the security of people in Israel or the rights of the Palestinians to go to work or go to do their or just their land that the wall is built on.
All my life known my side of the story and never really known the other side of the Palestinians, and now I'm just trying to learn as much as I can to compare to which side I'm connected to more. So right now I'm kind of in the center. I don't know how to put the pieces together. I'm still trying, but I think the conflict is basically just you choose a side. There's really nothing in the middle.
We are living in Jerusalem. I don't think it's not. I'm not feeling the conflict every day. It's not that every day Qassams are falling here and I'm stressed. But sometimes in war times, like people said here, it's a little bit frightening. And if you think about the future, like people said here, then it's more frightening. Not the daily life, but if the thoughts about the future.
Just because we live like normal here, and they're not Qassams that are thrown at us each day, it's more frightening that you experienced it one time, and it was so frightening and so shocking, and I was afraid. I was very
Yeah,
afraid.
but you forget that even though in Jerusalem it doesn't happen, it does happen in Sderot.
I know, but I think that they said that we live normal and it's not so frightening because we live like they're not.
Yeah, but
because we felt it once, it was the most frightening because
it's a bit easy. I think it's something that can frighten me, won't frighten you. It's something that will frighten you, won't frighten me. So I can't say don't be afraid. You can't always be afraid, but.
And it was especially frightening because the network of the cell phone shut down from all the calls that we got, and no one knew what happened. That it wasn't any internet connection down there, so we didn't really know what happened or what our families have been through, if anyone is okay.
Walla. Yes, Walla. It's called Walla.
It was really nice and interesting to meet a lot of people from Ireland and learn about their project and talk about our project and all the situation and the conflict. And we gave them our emails so they can ask us questions about their project. And I think it's very good and helpful and interesting.
The questions were very interesting, and we studied a lot from the questions. And you can see that they understand the material and they understand the conflict and try to understand the conflict. And we had a great time.
It was a great experience, and I hope that they learn more about Israel and the conflict.
It was really fun, and we learned a lot, and it's nice to have a different point of view of somebody outside of the conflict. And I learned a lot.
I basically think it's very important for the world to have a bigger perspective about what's going on in Israel and the Palestinians. And basically I think I really had a great time, and I hope they learned something. I certainly learned something.
So we're at the spot where one of the students at one of the schools that we work in was killed by suicide bomb on a bus on the 22nd of February 2004. Can you just tell us what it says here?
So it says that here fell 8 holy Jews in a terror suicide bombing on the 14A bus line, and the date 22 in February 2004. And there is from my school there is a Bneyat Sukerman, which was 18 years old on the day of the suicide bombing.
We tried to keep his memory alive, like also the Palestinian students on the project in the schools that we work in. It's so important that we do that we spare a moment for them. So I would like to just have a minute's silence and reflection for him. Was it important to come here? That's the real question I think we need to address. Give me your thoughts on that. Was it important to make this stop?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it was so important. Like, it's something that shapes the minds of Jewish people here, and you know, all of that, like all of the students said that it was really important. So I think it would have been a shame to have missed out on it.
I'm from Warsaw. I walk in the summer on the streets where the Warsaw ghetto used to be. I'm related to somebody who spent time in a concentration camp, and it was just kind of moving. It was very moving for me, and kind of I understand, I suppose, more why especially older Israelis, but younger Israelis too, would kind of feel the need to establish something strong here in Israel to kind of prevent any chances of that happening.